Kadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Nedarim Daf Amud Aleph 31a1. We are starting with the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Hanoder Mishovete Shabbat. Imagine a person comes and he prohibits himself hana'ah from anybody that keeps the Shabbat. He's shovet Shabbat. So Asur be-Israel, the Asur be-Kutim. He's not allowed to benefit from the Jews, neither from the Kutim. Okay, none of them. Why? Because they're shomrim Shabbat, or they're obligated to be shomer Shabbat. Okay, if a person comes and he's noder hana'ah me'ochle shum, from somebody that eats garlic. Now we know that there's an inyan to eat garlic on Friday night. That was one of the takanot of, right? Of what? Of Ezra. Ezra Sofer, it said that one of the takanot is Bakama, you should eat, right, garlic. Why garlic? Besides being very healthy, it actually increases the stamina, it increases the semen. And therefore it's good to have children. So that's why there's the Leil Shabbat is Leil Mitzvah, right? It's Oneg Shabbat. And therefore what? You have garlic on Friday night. What do you think the Moroccan fish has a lot of garlic? Right? There's a purpose for it over there. What do you think? Yeah, now you understand. I have to teach you. Yeah, now you understand. Right, we're giving Khatan classes here. So it says over here, so what happens? If he says, Anoder Yitzurei Hana, Me'ochle Shum, from the people that they eat garlic, Asur bi-Israel ve'asur bi-Kutim. Why? Because also the Jews and also the Kutim, they eat garlic on Leil Shabbat. Me'olei Yerushalayim. If a person comes and he makes a neder of Isur Hana'ah from the people that they do Aliyah L'Regel. Ole Yerushalayim. What does it mean? What does it mean, Ole Yerushalayim? Asur bi-Israel umutar be-Kutim. He comes and he says it's going to be Asur bi-Israel, but here it's mutar be-Kutim. Why? Because the Kutim, right, even though they're obligated to come up, they don't come up. So therefore, since they don't come up, that's why the Kutim are going to be permitted. You're allowed to benefit from Kutim, but you're not allowed to benefit from the Jews. This is the My Shoftei Shabbat, says the Gemara. What does it mean, Shoftei Shabbat? Shoftei Shabbat means that you just made a neder from people which are shovet on Shabbat, which people that don't work on Shabbat. If you're going to tell me the people that actually fulfill the Shabbat, even though they're not commanded, so then why did you speak about Kutim? Even a goy. If a goy is going to come and he's going to do Shabbat, so therefore that's it. Anybody that's shovet Shabbat. Ella, but rather, no. The kavanah is mitzuvim ala Shabbat. Mitzuvim ala Shabbat means the ones which are commanded on the Shabbat, not the ones that fulfill the Shabbat. Because, for example, the guy's a goy, so today he just wants to come and he wants to do it. No, it has to be the one. It's true. It's true. A goy sheshavat chayamita. We didn't get into that here, but 1 minute. But here we're talking about the ones which are mitzuvim ala Shabbat. Okay, fine. So ask the Gemara, if so, in Masechta. Let's see the Seifa. The Seifa says, Me'olei Yerushalayim. Me'olei Yerushalayim was the ones that go up to do Aliyah L'Regel. They go up to Yerushalayim. So he says, Asur bi-Israel, umutar be-Kutim. So it's going to be Asur, right, for Jews, but it's going to be mutar for the Kutim. Amai, why? Yeah, why? At the end of the day, the Kutim also commanded to go up to Yerushalayim. If they don't go up, that's their problem, because they're going to do Avodah Zarah and their Har Gerizim, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, they're also commanded, right? So therefore, that can be the pshat then. So therefore, the Gemara says, Amar Abaye says, Mitzuve ve'osek tani. We're not talking about just commanded, and we're not talking about people that are doing it on their own. We're talking about somebody that's commanded and does it. You need both. Mitzuve, commanded, ve'oseh, and you actually do it. Okay? Betarte bave kamaita, in the two parts of the Mishnah at the beginning, which is basically from Shoftei Shabbat and from Ochle Shum, the ones that keep Shabbat, that are doing Shabbat, and the ones that eat garlic, Israel ve'kutim mitzuyin ve'osim, which means the Jews and the kutim, they're both commanded and they also fulfill them, right? Ovdei kochavim, but the ovdei kochavim, the ones that are doing it, forget about now a technical issue that he's chayamita. That's already a technical issue. But anyway, he's not commanded. So the fact that he's not commanded, they're even if they did do it, but they're not commanded. Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim, the Israel mitzuvim ve'osim, the Jews, they are commanded and they actually do it. And the Kutim Mitzvim, that the Kutim, they're only commanded, but they don't do it. So therefore, we actually just answered that the explanation on Mishnah is Mitzuvim ve'osim. Your two things, two ingredients, right? You're commanded, plus you do it. Okay? Very good. Mishnah. Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph. Mishnah. Second Mishnah on the page. Hunam she'eni nehene libne Noach. Imagine a person comes and he says, he's going to make a kunam. Remember, one of the kunamot is part of a neder, not shavuot, is part of a neder. He comes and he makes a neder that he's not going to benefit from a bnei noach. Yeah. Now it says over here when he says livnei noach, right? We're going to say that maybe it could be even for Yisrael. We're going to see here. So it says like this. So he says mutar b'Yisrael v'asur b'Goyim. Here it's only the Jews which are going to be permitted, but Goyim are going to be prohibited. Because when you usually say livnei noach, right? That's going to be what? Usually Bnei Noach are not the Jews. The Jews are not Bnei Noach. Right? Even though you should know something very interesting, Adam Arishon was already commanded on mitzvot Bnei Noach. We call them Sheva mitzvot Bnei Noach, but really Be'emet, Adam Arishon was the first one that was commanded on the mitzvot Bnei Noach. Okay? Says the Gemara. V'Yisrael minafik mikol Bnei Noach. At the end of the day, all Jews are also Bnei Noach. Why do we call the Sheva mitzvot Bnei Noach? Because everybody in the world, you have nothing what to go after. Noach was the continuation of the world, correct? Exactly. You had Noach, because from Adam Rishon you had a lot of branches, but then afterwards it went down to Noach and you started again, new branches, because everybody was destroyed. So therefore, if you have right now Noach and onwards, so Jews come from Noach, the Noah that lies at the end of the day, right? Shem is a child of, right? When we say anti-Semite, Semite is because of Shem, right? That we come from Shem. But one second, Shem comes from Noach also. So what are we talking about? Yisrael minafik mikol Bnei Noach. We're also Bnei Noach. Says no. Kevan di Kadash Abraham itkru al Shemeh. It's like just like Bnei Noach. Well, technically, why don't we call them from Adam Arishon? No, because Noach was the new branch, as I already explained. Says the Gemara, the fact that Abraham Avinu sanctified himself and now he became like a new nation, it became something new. Now all of a sudden we become different, and now we become Abraham Avinu. Okay, even though a lot of people are also called Abraham. Well, Abraham Avinu is called Avamon Goyim because the majority of the nations also come right from him as well. However, though, all Bnei Noach refers to the Goyim. The Jews now have a new entity under Abraham Avinu. So that's what we're trying to say. Next Mishnah. This is now the third Mishnah on the page. Okay, Mishnah. She'eni nehene lezera Abraham. A person comes and he makes a neder, he's not going to benefit from Zera Abraham, from the children of Abraham. So he's a Asur b'Yisrael, but mutar be'odeh kochovim. That means even though the Umot HaOlam are also Tzetzei Abraham, right? They also came. Avhamon Goyim means that there's multitudes of nations that come from him. Yishmael, if you just have that, you already have 35. Remember, if there's Shivim Umot, right? And you've got a whole bunch of all the Arabs on that. So imagine how many of them. So what? They're not Abraham? No. That's what he's saying. He's saying that even though they are the Tzetzei Abraham, because he's Avhamon Goyim, he's got tons of nations underneath Abraham, but they're not called on his name. So for when you say Lezer Abraham, it only refers to the Jews. Ask the Gemara, Vayika Yishmael. What about Yishmael? Right? Answers the Gemara, right? Ki b'Yitzchak yikare lechazara. What does that mean? Your children are only called after Yitzchak. Meaning Yishmael does not anymore go after Abraham, even though that he's technically, biologically, he is a child of Abraham Avinu. But since he's not called on his name, so it's a completely different halacha. So as a Gemara, Vayika Esav, you have Esav, right? Esav was after Abraham. At the end of the day, and remember, the majority of all the Goyim, they come from what? They come from Esav. You either have from Yishmael or from Esav. That's a majority. So therefore, one second. You knocked off Yishmael because you said Ki b'Yitzchak yikare lechazara. But you went to Yitzchak, but then you still have Esav. Esav comes from Esav. Esav comes from Yitzchak. So answers the Gemara, Ki b'Yitzchak velo kol Yitzchak. When it says be Yitzchak, right? That's what he's saying over here. Without the bet, so then it's mashma. That's what if he would have said Ki Yitzchak yikare lechazara. So then it's mashma lo kol Yitzchak, right? So it means not all the tza'im of Yitzchak, not kol zaro. So therefore, it's not all the children of Yitzchak. It's specifically, obviously, Yaakov and onwards. And therefore, that's what we're saying. Which one? Yes, that it's not of all of Yitzchak, it's only in part of Yitzchak. This is also another Gemara as well. Fourth Mishnah on the page. You guys are on a roll. You guys are just learning Mishnayot today. Yeah, so fourth Mishnah on the page. Right? Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph 31A1, the Mishnah. Fourth Mishnah. Says the Mishnah, She'eni nehenet. Right? He comes and he says, She'eni nehena mi-Yisrael. He comes and he says like this. He says, imagine right now a person comes and he makes a neder that he's not going to have a benefit from Israel. So therefore, from any Israel. So he says like this, Lokeach biyoter umocher bepachot. he's allowed to purchase something, right, from a more expensive price, okay? Umocher bepachot, and he's allowed to sell it to them for cheaper than value. Why? Because in this format, he's not benefiting. So this is like we mentioned yesterday about going to a restaurant. When you're paying more for a value, it's not considered benefit because you just here right now made a neder. I'm not going to benefit from a Jew. What does the Mishnah tell you? You know what you're allowed to do, right? If you're going to buy something from him, pay more. And by paying more, you're not benefiting. You're benefiting. No, that's not called benefit. Mishnah Mefurash says, Lokeach bioter. What else do you do? Yeah. I have to sell. What am I going to do? I have to sell it to him cheaper. Because if I'm going to sell it to him at the regular price that I wanted, I'm making a profit, which means I'm benefiting. I'm not allowed to benefit. So for what? You have to sell it to him for cheaper. Mishnah. Yeah? The fourth Mishnah says the fourth Mishnah. So again, a person comes and he makes a vow, he's not going to benefit from another Jew. So what does he have to do? He has to sell to him, right? That's what he's saying. He has to sell to him for less of the value, and he has to purchase from him for more expensive. Okay, everybody with me? So that way he's not nena. That's why he's not going to be benefiting. Says the Gemara, says the Mishnah, which means he's not prohibiting on himself to benefit from them. He's prohibiting on the Jews to benefit from him. Yeah? Lokeach bepachot umocher bioter. He's allowed to buy for less and sell for more. So here's the opposite. You understood? Here's doing the opposite. Ve'en shomim lo, but we're not going to listen to him to make him lose his money. Okay? Next case, last case. She'eni ne'eneh lahen ve'hen li. What about if he makes a neder for both? I'm not going to benefit from them, and they're not going to benefit from me. That's the neder on both. So then he's only able to do to goyim. Why? There's no way out. Right? There's no way out. Right? Because again, it's not called a benefit if you're doing for less or more. That's what it's basically saying. Says the Gemara. Amar Shemuel. Says Shemuel. Halokeach keli min ha'uman levakero. Imagine right now you take a utensil from the uman, from the person that is the craftsman, in order to come and to check if it's good or it's not good. Venenas biado. Right? Once upon a time, you would take a car for a test drive. Yeah? Or you would come and you would take a utensil. I want to try it. Nowadays, they actually have it in Amazon Prime, right? There's a thing which is called try before you buy. You know what does that mean? You come, you try it on. After 7 days, if you don't return it, they charge you, but they don't charge you until after 7 days. Why? Because you try it, and then you can give it back. Okay, that's the rules of the game. Okay, so now, right? What happens right now? You took this utensil, whether it's a car, whether it's a utensil, venenas biado. There was the onus. It broke in your hands. Yeah, it broke in your hands. Chayav, you're obligated, right, to pay back. Why? Because you are considered like a shoel, like a borrower, which means that until you don't purchase it, you're borrowing it to check if it's good or not. So therefore, since you're considered a borrower, so what's the halacha? So therefore, you're going to be chayav. Yeah? Okay, very good. Says the Gemara Alma, so you see from here, kasavar hanat lokeachi. So he comes and he says, Shmuel comes and he says, so you see from here, that this is ana'ah for the lokeach, which means the lokeach, the purchaser, is benefiting from this and not the seller. He comes, why? Okay, there's going to be different things, but in order for him to be a shomer chinam, means you're benefiting. What's a shomer chinam? I'm watching something for free, right? So therefore, if I'm watching it for free, right, that's a shomer chinam. Now, there is a shoel, which is a borrower. By the borrower, you're the one that's benefiting. If I borrow your phone, who's benefiting? I'm benefiting. If I'm watching over your phone, so if I'm getting paid, so then I'm benefiting because I'm getting paid. But if I'm not getting paid, that's a shomer sachar. Shomer chinam, if I'm not getting paid, so you're benefiting because I'm watching it for you. I'm doing you a favor. You're not doing me a favor. When I borrow something, you're doing me a favor. So here the Gemara is saying, you see from here that it's considered that the purchaser is what? Is the one that is benefiting. And therefore he's doing him a favor. Why? Because he's going to be chayav. So Tanan, we're going to ask a question against this. 1 second. Sheni ne'enem Yisrael. A person comes and he makes a neder. He's not going to benefit from Yisrael. Mocher bepachot. He could sell for less. Aval shaveh b'shaveh lo, but he can't sell for the same price. Right? Ve'i hanat lokeachi. Now, if you're going to tell me that it's the hana of the lokeach of the purchaser, so filu shaveh b'shaveh. So even if it's going to be shaveh b'shaveh, it should be the same halacha. Shaveh b'shaveh means the exact same price. right? Even meaning that you're not making a profit. It's even if at the end of the day, right? He's not benefiting in the sale. So therefore, what's going on here, right? Who's the one that's benefiting? The buyer or the seller? If you're going to tell me it's the buyer, so even if it's going to be for the same price, it's always the buyer that's going to be benefiting, right? The purchaser, right? So he comes and he says, answers the Gemara, Matznitin bezvina derami alape. Our Mishnah is dealing with a sale which is on the face of the seller, which means it's difficult to sell, right? He's stuck with it. He's got a difficult sale. And therefore, in something like this, as long as he sells it, even for the same value, meaning he didn't make a penny of profit, it's still considered his benefit and not the benefit of the purchaser. That means it depends. It depends. Exactly. He's stuck with it. So if he's stuck with it, even if he's selling it at the exact same price without a profit, right? It's worth it for him, right? Why? Because he wants to get rid of it. He's
even losing money.
Even lose money. That's also the loss leader. You're right. Nowadays, that's what they say. Walmart, all those places, they even lose money on it. What? Why? Right? Why? Because at the end of the day, they're benefiting. Okay. So says the Gemara, right? Says the Gemara, if so, Eimar Reisha. Let's see the Reisha. The Reisha says, Lokeach bioter. It says over here, what happens right now if you're going to purchase it for more than the value? Okay, now 1 second. We just said, if you're telling me that our Mishnah.
No.
So if we're talking about an our Mishnah, right, that it's difficult, right, to come and to sell. So let's see the Reisha. The Reisha says, Lokeach biyoter, which means that if you're going to take it for the same value, it's a sur, but you could purchase it for more money. So 1 second, if it's difficult to sell, right? So then you are benefiting from it. Because at the end of the day, the mocher, right? The mocher, which is the seller, he wants to get rid of it. So if you're coming, you're taking it, even if you're going to pay more, he's always benefiting. The seller's benefiting because he wants to get rid of the produce, the merchandise. Ve'odei maseifa, and also said the seifa, she sell lening li. He makes a neder that the Jews cannot benefit from him. Remember, there's 2 ways in the Mishnah. He's not going to benefit from a Jew, so therefore he has to purchase for more money. He has to sell for less money, so therefore he's not benefiting. And then they're not benefiting from him. So therefore here he has to buy it for cheaper, right? And he has to sell for more. So he says, now, if it's going to be that he wants to get rid of it, even if he's going to sell it for the same price, right? It's always going to be the same thing. He's doing him a favor because at the end of the day, he wants to get rid of it. So Seifa, Bezvina Charifa, he says, no, you're right. The Reisha, the first part of the Mishnah is talking about what we're going to call a merchandise, which just doesn't go. It doesn't go off the shelves. It just stays there. So it's an eyesore. You look at it and you're saying, you know what? Just get rid of it. Even if you're not going to make a penny of profit, even if you would sometimes even lose money, it doesn't matter, but just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. Yeah, 2 for 1, all these things. Now, what happens though in the Seifa? The Seifa is talking about the exact opposite. What's the opposite? Zina Kharifa, something that's a hot deal. Something that's just, one of these best buys. Everyone just it just goes, it just flies, right? So therefore, something it's completely different. So there's 2 different halachot. So the Reisha is talking about when it's going to be very slow, and the Seifa is talking about where it's a very quick deal. So it just continues going, like that. So ask the Gemara, if so, what do we say? You have to buy it with less amount of money in order not to benefit, right? In order that the seller is not going to benefit. So he says, even if it's going to be shaveh b'shaveh. What does it mean shaveh b'shaveh? Even if it's going to be, right, equal, right? So it's going to be mutar to come and to start, right? Even if it's going to come and it's going to take for the same value, meaning without even doing it. Now, why? Why is it going to be permitted? It should be permitted, even shaveh b'shaveh, because if it's going to be sold so quickly, so it's considered hanata lokeach, not hanata mocher. Remember, one more time, what were we talking about? We were talking about now that the Israel cannot benefit from him, so he has to purchase it for cheaper price. Why does he have to purchase it for a cheaper price? Even if he's going to purchase it for the exact same price, right? It's going to be considered a benefit. Why? It's a hot sale. So even if it's going to be like that. Ela rather Lamed Aleph Amud Bet 31b. Ela matnitin bezvina mitzah. So he says you're right. Our Mishnah is dealing with a normal sale, meaning we're not talking about something which is a hot sale. We're not talking something which is going to be very quick or very slow. We're talking about intermediary. And the Shmuel is talking about zvina charifa. So it all depends on the circumstances. You're right. It all depends on the circumstances. If it's going to be a very quick sale, slow sale, or medium sale. The Mishnah is talking about a medium sale. The Tanakh of Shmuel, we also learned the exact same thing according to Shmuel 31b. Tanakh of Shmuel, halokeach kelim min tagar, the shagran levet chamim. If a person is going to purchase kelim, utensils from the tagar, in order to send them to Bet Chamiv, right? So imagine you're coming and you're taking it from the person to buy it, right? So you're taking it from the tagar. And now what happens is you're going to sell it, you're going to send it to your father-in-law's house. The Amarlo, now he comes and he says, if your father-in-law is going to accept it, I'm going to pay for it. And if not, that means they don't want to accept it. I'm going to give you a tovat hana'ah, right? So then what happens? Nensu balicha is going to be chayav. If it was on the way to the father-in-law's house and there was an onus in these utensils, so then what happens is he has to pay the merchant, right? Why? Because since he took it and obviously he could buy it, so for any hana'ah is of the lokeach, and therefore he's considered a shoel. But if it's on the way back, he's going to be patur from paying back. But then what happens is like he's noseh sachar, because at the end of the day, right, from then onwards, he becomes a shomer sachar. A shomer sachar is not chayav in onsim, meaning like this. Shoel is a borrower. A shoel is, since you are getting the favor, so you're obligated in onsim. Onsim means even if something happens like a force majeure, you're obligated to pay it back. Okay, this is called shoel chayav be'onsim. Shomer sachar, which is somebody which is a shomer sachar, which means that you're paid a paid custodian, a paid watchman. You do not pay for onsim, for honest. Okay, so now comes the Gemara and said, what was the case exactly? Right, basically you come and you're taking something and you want to send a present to your father-in-law. Right, it happens once in a while. In a blue moon, they'll send right, to the in-laws. Right, usually they expect things from you, but once in a while it will happen that you want to give to your in-laws, right, a present. So what happens is you come, you go to the store, and you tell them, listen, right? He comes and he tells them to the tagar, if he accepts the present, so I pay you. And if he does not accept the present, yeah, if he's not going to come and accept the present, so then I'm going to give you the tovat hana'ah. What is tovat hana'ah? The fact that Keilu, they came and they said, you know what? Like it was such a nice gesture, even though they didn't receive it, they sent it back. But the fact that, it was such a nice gesture, so therefore he's going to pay him for that. So now what happens is on the way there, he could still purchase it. So since he could still purchase it, he's like a shoel, he's a borrower, because he's now benefiting it. Because it could be that the father-in-law is going to accept it, and then he's going to buy it. So therefore, he's considered a shoel. Something happens on the way, he has to pay for it. But on the way back, we said he's not going to buy it anymore. He just has to pay him, right? What? He's going to pay him for the tovat hana'ah. He's going to pay him for the fact that he was able to take this utensil to his father-in-law in order to make a nice gesture, right? So then what happens? So now he's a shomer sachar, because now he's paying for it. He's not paying for the utensil, right? But he's paying a certain amount, whatever it is, $10 out of the 50 or 100, whatever it is, he's going to pay. So now he's considered shomer sachar. So now on the way back, if an honest happens to this utensil, he's going to be patur, right? Why? Shomer sachar. Shomer sachar is patur from onsim. Okay? The Gemara is going to now bring a story to do this. Hahu safsira. There was a sisur. A sirsur is like an agent, that he's like a third party. Hahu safsira de shakal chamra lezabune. He took a chamor from his friend in order to sell it. So imagine you're an agent, right? A middleman, and you're going to sell a product. So I take from David his chamor, right? I'm sure he's got a lot of them. Yeah, and I take them and I'm going to sell them off. Yeah, so what happens? Velo yizban. I wasn't able to sell it. So I come back and I want to give it back to David. Now, bahadi dahadar itnis chamara. Now, when I'm returning it to him, all of a sudden, the honest happened. Chayaver Rav Nachman l'shulum. Instead of Nachman comes and he obligated me to pay for it. Right? Why? Right? So now the question now that we're going to see now is, Eitve Rav Nachman. So Rav now is going to come and he's going to ask Rav Nachman, one second. Let's just understand what's going on now. Right? Why? Rav Nachman just said that you're obligated to pay. Why should he be obligated to pay? According to what we just learned 2 minutes ago, should it be obligated or exempt? One more time. Forget the case of the chamor.
On the way back, it's exempt.
On the way in the back, you're going to be exempt. Why? You're a shomer sachar. So if on the way back you're going to be exempt, so why did Rav Nachman say you're going to be chayav? That's the question. Yeah? One more time. Eitve Rav Nachman asks Rava to Rav Nachman. Nensu balicha chayav b'chazara patur. He says, I don't understand you. If it's on the way there, he should be chayav. But on the way back, he should be patur. Why did you just come and say that the agent, why are you misken me? Why are you telling me that I'm obligated to pay him his chamorim? Kapara for his chamor, right? That's what you would say. So he comes and he says, Elmaleh, he comes and he says, no. Chazara de safsira holachahi. When I'm bringing it back to him, it's already considered that I'm taking to sell it. Teilu mishkach lezebune afilu abava devetei milo mezabene. Meaning like this. In the case of the safsira, which is this is the case of the sirsur, the agent, he's always considered a salesman. Why? Imagine I'm right now coming towards the Biscayne point, and I'm going to come and I'm going to give him back his chamor. And I find somebody there, right? I found another chamor that wants to buy the chamor, right? And he's right by the door. Yeah. So now, right? No, come on. Yeah. Right. Right now he comes on the entrance of David. Yeah. Oh, okay, very good. Right? Only the horses, right? Yeah. He comes and he says, right? So right now I'm not going to sell it. For sure I'm going to sell it. Why? Because the fact that I'm going to come, right? I'm going to find the buyer, even at the entrance of the house, that I'm going to sell it. So therefore he comes and he says, I, as the agent, I'm considered the agent until I don't give it back into his hands. Because any single person that will come and try to buy it, I'm going to throw it. Right away, I'm going to sell it. So therefore I'm always, even though I'm bringing it back, I'm still considered a salesman. So since it's considered on the way there, I'm always chayav be'onsim because I'm considered sho'el. Until here we're clear? So calculus, we're starting the next Mishnah, Lamed Aleph Amud Bet. Okay, this is going to be the fifth Mishnah of the day. Kunam she'eni nehene la'arelim. A person comes and he makes a net that he's not going to benefit from anybody that's an arel, right? Uncircumcised. Mutar be'arle Yisrael. He takes him to the mikveh. Right? He's going to be permitted for arle Yisrael. Ve'asur be'mulei ovdei kochavim. And he's going to be permitted, right, for the mulei ovdei kochavim. Which means, right, number one, he says he's allowed to benefit from Jews, right, which are arelim, which are uncircumcised, and he's prohibited from benefiting from the goyim, which are circumcised, right? So you take away from the queen and all the royal family, okay? She'ani nehene lemulim. What about the opposite? That I'm going to benefit from the ulim, which means that which I benefit from the ones which are circumcised is a neder. Asur ba'alei Yisrael. So now he's prohibited, right? For Adlei Yisrael. I mean, he's not allowed to benefit from Jews, even if they're not circumcised. Umutar b'mulei ovdei kochavim. He's going to be permitted with the ones which are circumcised, right, of the goyim. She'en ha'orla kruya ella leshem ovdei kochavim. Was the concept of arel, right? The arel, when a person comes, he's uncircumcised, is only going on, it's not mamash on the orla mamash. It's a kinui for the goyim, right? Yeah, arel, meaning arel is not on the mamash on the actual arel. It means a goy. That's you're just calling arel. Yeah, Shneimar, it says in the pasuk, kol ki chol hagoyim arelim, v'chol bet Yisrael arle lev. Right, that all the goyim are considered arelim. So you see from here, umot haolam are considered arelim, even though that you do have some of them that they do brit milah. V'chol bet Yisrael arle lev. What does that mean? That ki'ilu all bet Yisrael, their hearts are full of orla. Right? And it says, this was by when? By David Elmaleh. David and Goliath. We just did this on Shabbat. You remember when David Elmaleh comes and he says, what? This arel hazeh, he's going to come and he's going to curse out Marachot Yisrael v'tzavakotav. Boom, he went and he killed them. Right? He went and he killed them out. Yes. He comes and he says, and it says in Shmuel, so you see from here that in all these cases, these are all the different concepts of arelim. Bilazar ben Azariah says, Meusahi ha'orla shenitganu bar reshaim. Look how disgusting is the circumcision that the reshaim, right, were nicknamed for it. That was their genai, the kinui. Shneimar says in pasuk, and Yirmiyahu ki chol hagoyim arelim. So according to Shitat Bilazar ben Azariah, the pasuk is not just saying an uvda, it's not just saying a fact that they are arelim. It's actually meganeotam b'arelim, meaning it's disgracing them with that. It's giving. It's not just a fact. Listen, it's a fact. What do you want? No, it's a shem gnai. You understand? That's no 100. Rabbi Ishmael Omer. Rabbi Ishmael says, "Gedola milah שנחרטו עליה 13 בריתות. Look how great, right? Look how great is the milah that there's going to be 13 brits. 13 times in Parashat Milah, it's written brit. So ever since it's written the concept of a treaty, of a pact, of a commitment, of a binding. So this is called the brit, right? So therefore, right, this it says 13 times the concept of brit. Rabbi Yosef Omer, Kedola milah shedochet Shabbat hachmura. Look, you want to know, not only is it written brit 13 times, which obviously the number 13 is the whole thing. Remember, 13 is a hava, that shows the love that we have towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when we do brit milah, we're showing our love to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu shows reciprocity, he shows his love. It shows that we become one with Hashem, because Hechal is also 13. So therefore we become one. So when the number 13 is a very important concept, obviously. Okay, so it's written 13 times brit to do with in the parasha of Brit Milah. Rabbi Yosef says, you want to know how great is the mitzvah of Brit Milah? It's Doche Shabbat Achmura. Look at it. Mamash, it's Doche Shabbat. If it pushes off Shabbat, obviously it has to be obviously very, very great. Number 3, Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha Omer, Gedola Milah shelo nitzla lo Moshe HaTzadik alea, right, melo sha'ah. Right? Moshe HaTzadik, he didn't do Brit Milah to his son. Which son? Gershom or Eliezer? But which one?
First one.
Eliezer זה היה השני.
Say the second one, I'll go with the second.
מחלוקת יונתן בן עוזיאל ודעת זקן עם בעלי התוספות. The pashut pshat that people like to learn, it's a second son. Because the second son was just born, and then he didn't do the Brit Milah to him. But a lot of opinions. Tzipora did it. Chazak Baruch. Vatikach Tzipora Tzror. You're right. It's Shemot. It's not Dvarim, but it's Shemot. Right? But what happens though is, so it says over here, but, right, the other opinion says it was Gershom. Why? If you remember that Moshe Rabbeinu, when it says Vayoel Moshe, Lashevet et Aish, right, that Moshe Rabbeinu agreed to live with the person, with Yitro, he made an agreement with him that the first child was going to be for Avodah Zarah. And therefore, when he got married to Tzipora, the first child, Gershom, didn't have a Brit Milah yet. And therefore, what happened was that when it came that they were traveling on the way, they had to do a Brit Milah to get a Shom. This is one of the Tanaim speaking. We're not talking about the Stam. So there's a machloket in the Rishonim already, or the Tanaim, which child of Moshe Rabbeinu was it that did not have the Brit Milah done. But here it says in the Mishnah, it's not about which child, it just says, look how great is the Brit Milah, that Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe HaTzadik, was not held back even for a moment. The mamash, you know, but according to this, it's probably Mashma Eliezer more than Gershom, but obviously it has the importance of the Brit Milah. Next, Nechemia Omer Nechemia says, Gedola Milah, shedocha et negaim. Look how great is the Milah that it pushes away even negaim. What does that mean? You have a nega, right? Imagine a person has a nega on the Brit Milah. You would actually even cut it off, right, on the nega. Because if you have a nega tzarat, you're not allowed to cut off a nega tzarat. But if the nega tzarat is on the Brit Milah, you would be allowed to cut off the nega tzarat. So that's how shows how great is the Milah. Rabbi Rabbi says, Kedola Milah, look how great is Milah. Shneimar, as it says over here. So Rabbi comes and he says, look how Gedola Milah, shekol hamitzot she'asa Avraham lo nikra shalem ad shema'al olato. It's part of the song that we sing. That means Avraham Avinu, no matter how many mitzvot he did, he wasn't called shalem. He wasn't called complete, whole, full, until when? Until he did the Brit Milah. Shneimar says in Pasuk, Yitalech lefanai v'yeh tamim. Tamim over there means shalem. You're going to become full, complete, when you come and you do the Brit Milah. Another explanation. Look how great this Brit Milah, that if it wasn't for the Brit Milah, right, HaKadosh Baruch Hu would not have created the entire world. It wasn't for the Brit that I have, whether it's during the nighttime and the daytime, then I wouldn't have put the Chukot Shemayim Va'aretz lo samti. Okay, so this is the greatness of Brit Milah. And remember, this is tomorrow's Daf. Yeah, this is Friday. Okay. Tanya, we learned in the Braita. This is the Gemara. So the Gemara on the bottom of the Aleph Amubeh. Tanya, we learned in the Braita. Yishom Kolcha, Yishom Kolcha says, Gedola Milah. Look how great is the Milah. Shekol zechuyot she'asa Moshe Rabbeinu lo amdu lo keshenitrashem min Milah. All the mitzvot that Moshe Rabbeinu did, they did not help him. Why? Because if he didn't do the Milah, he didn't do the Milah immediately. So then that's it. Here in the footnote, it's talking about Eliezer. If you pay attention, look in the footnote. And he brings it down. Ledat Rashi. If you have a footnote in number 23 in the Hebrew, I don't know what it is in English. He says Ledat Rashi. Aben medubar Eliezer, but Targum Yonatan ben Oziel says Gershom שלא נימול בגלל תנאו של יתרו עם משה, ואילו אליעזר כבר נימול, והם בבלטורים בשמות, המבאר עניין התנאי. What was the תנאי exactly? And look in מכתב מאליהו, how did Moshe Rabbeinu even make such a תנאי? So the Dessler had to explain, how is Moshe Rabbeinu making such a condition with his father-in-law? You know what it is? That he's making a condition with his father-in-law that his first child is going to go to Avodah Zarah. But again, that's a machloket. Shneimar says in the pasuk. So I just told you, this is what I just told you. The machloket between Yonatan ben Oziel and the other Rishonim, whether it's going to be the first child or the second child. Shneimar says in the pasuk, Vayifkeshehu, right? Rashi is a Rishon. Yonatan ben Oziel is a Tana, right? That's the Kenim Balei Tosfot or Tosafot. What? They could, because obviously it's different opinions in the Midrashim, obviously. You have this also in the Midrash. So obviously there's the different Tanaim saying different. But remember, Yonatan ben Oziel was a Tana. It's not just Tana. Yes, no, because obviously Rashi is quoting a Midrash. And the Midrash is other Tanaim. So obviously there's Machlok Tanaim, so you're able to. Shneimar says in Pasuk, Vayifkeshehu Hashem, Vayivakesh Amito. That Hashem wanted to kill him. Amar Rabbi says, Chas v'shalom shel Moshe Rabbeinu. What, you really think that Moshe Rabbeinu came and he was mamash mitrashel al hamina? You really think that he came and he was, by the way, you could bring a raya from this Mishnah, from the Gemara, that the Pashtut is like Rashi. So therefore, Rashi could argue just based upon the Pashtut of the Mishnah and the Gemara, right? Because this is mashma, right? That he was mitrashel min hamila. Mitrashel min hamila was not mitrashel. If you come and you learn that it's really be'emet gereshom, it wasn't mitrashel, it was bechavana, he did it bechavana. You understand? So therefore, obviously, no, he was on the way to Mitzrayim. That's something else. But this is what he said. Emol say, if I'm going to come and I'm going to do Brit Milah and I'm going to go out, sakana. For sure, he had to go to Mitzrayim. He was now coming to take out the Jewish nation. Exactly. Well, if you listen for 2 seconds, you'll see that, Mordechai. So wait 1 second. So it says, this is what happened. Moshe Rabbeinu comes and he says, I've got a dilemma. What's the dilemma? Amul ve'etzeh says, what? I'm going to do Brit Milah and I'm going to travel. We know that when you do Brit Milah, you're in danger, right? You're sakana. So if you can't do Brit Milah and start traveling, so he has a problem now. Sakana hi shneimar hahi bayom hashlishi yotam koavim. Remember that on the 3rd day, that's when Shimon and Levi came and they took their vengeance against what? Against Shechem, right? And they went and they killed out everybody. Yeah, they killed everybody. So what happens? You see, it was the 3rd day. Amul ve'eshesh. If I'm going to do Brit Milah and then wait 3 days. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Amali, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells me, Lech shu Mitzrayim, right? He tells me, go. What? I'm going to wait? Hashem tells you to go. You're going to wait? I don't understand. It's like every single morning. We wake up for Shachrit. Hashem tells you, get up. Be me'orer ha'shachar. Come to Shachrit. We're going to make him wait? How could it be? The exact same thing. Moshe Rabbeinu saying, well, I'm going to wait. Can't be. So why was Moshe Rabbeinu punished then? At the end of the day, if Moshe Rabbeinu did well in the fact that he didn't actually do Brit Milah, so why was he punished? Says the Gemara Lamed Bet Amud Aleph on the top, because the first thing what he did was he wanted to check out how many stars was the hotel. He wanted to check out the hotel. So he went and he wanted to check out, no, is it St. Regis? Is it 5 stars? Is it this? Is that?
Is that what he checked, or he went to put his family?
Right? Shneimar b'zeh in the pasuk, vayhi baderech b'malon. Vayifkeshehu Hashem vayivakeshem ito. What does that mean? Biglal isuko b'malon. רצה השם לשבת? זה גמרא. זה חומש. החומש זה. ויהי בדרך במלון. Why? Because he first took care of the malon before taking care of the Brit Milah. He should have come and done the Brit Milah and afterwards take care of the malon. He first took care of the malon. And then obviously we'll continue tomorrow with the next one.